the Arctic Circle, a vast, unforgiving expanse of white. For the crew of the Polaris V research station, it was home, a place dedicated to science buried deep beneath the ice, far from the rest of the world. Then, one day, they simply went silent. The world held its breath, waiting for a sign, a whisper, anything. Weeks turned into a month, and the silence became a deafening roar of unanswered questions. Hope began to fade. That's when it happened. A single, repeating signal pierced the Arctic stillness. It was weak, distorted, but it was undeniably coming from Polaris VA. A rescue mission was scrambled. At its head was Captain Eva Rostova, a veteran of polar expeditions leading a small, elite team. Jacques, the comms expert, Ben, the medic, and a grizzled engineer named Griggs. Their mission was clear: get in, assess the situation, and bring the crew home. Their transport vehicle, the Icebreaker, crunched through miles of desolate ice fields, guided by the phantom signal. The isolation was immediate and absolute. It felt like they were landing on another planet. As they approached the coordinates, the station's entrance came into view, a steel hatch, nearly swallowed by a recent blizzard. The air was thick with an eerie quiet. Jacques managed to override the exterior lock. With a hiss of depressurizing air, the hatch opened, revealing a dark, frozen staircase leading down into the earth. They descended, their flashlights cutting through the gloom. The station's emergency lights flickered, casting long, dancing shadows. But what they saw stopped them cold. The entire Polaris V crew was there, frozen, not like statues of ice, but frozen in place. A scientist was mid-stride, one hand reaching for a coffee mug that hung suspended in the air. Another was at a console, fingers hovering over a keyboard, her expression one of mild concentration. They were alive. Their chests rose and fell in shallow, almost imperceptible breaths, their eyes wide and aware, but locked in place, unable to move, unable to speak. They were living statues, trapped inside their own bodies. Ben, the medic, was baffled. He ran every diagnostic he could. Vitals were critically low, body temperatures just shy of fatal hypothermia, yet they were stable. It was a state of suspended animation, unlike anything he'd ever seen. "It's impossible," he kept muttering. "Biologically, this shouldn't be happening." The crew's eyes followed the rescue team, filled with a silent, desperate plea. Jacques went straight to the communications array. He needed to understand the signal that brought them here. He found it wasn't a distress call. It was a warning, a complex, repeating loop of data, almost like a biological signature. Before he could decipher it, the station's main power grid failed completely, plunging them into absolute darkness, save for their headlamps. A temperature inside the station began to plummet. Suddenly, Griggs shouted from the engineering bay. He'd been trying to restart the generator. "The main fuel line, ... It's been severed, not ruptured, not broken. It looks like it was chewed through." That's when they heard it for the first time. A sound from outside the station, beneath them, a low guttural chittering, vibrating through the thick ice and steel hull of the base. It was a sound that didn't belong in the Arctic. It was the sound of something large, moving with purpose through the snow and ice below. Ava ordered everyone to the command center. They were trapped. The Icebreaker's engine was too cold to start. The station's power was gone, and communication with the outside world was cut off. Their only link was the strange alien signal still pulsing on Jacques' portable monitor. He finally cracked a piece of the code. "It's not a warning," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "It's a lure. It mimics a distress signal to draw people in." Panic began to set in. The temperature was dropping fast, and the sounds from below were getting louder, closer. Then came a new noise, a scraping, rhythmic thump against the station's underbelly. Thump, scrape, thump. Whatever was out there was trying to get in. Looking at the frozen crew, a horrifying realization dawned on Eva. They weren't just frozen by the cold. Something had done this to them. She noticed a fine, crystalline webbing on the clothes of one of the trapped scientists, something they'd missed in the flickering emergency lights. It shimmered faintly. Ben analyzed a sample. "It's a neurotoxin," he whispered, his face pale. "A complex paralytic agent delivered through some kind of crystalline spore. It doesn't kill. It just preserves." It was a hunting tactic, a way to keep prey fresh. The thumping stopped. The silence that followed was even more terrifying. Griggs, ever the pragmatist, was trying to jury-rig a battery to the door controls. He believed reinforcing their position was the only way. As he worked, a section of the reinforced floor plating in the corridor buckled upwards with a deafening screech of tortured metal. From the rupture, a creature emerged. It was a nightmare of chitin and ice. Larger than a polar bear, with multiple spindly insectoid legs that clicked on the metal floor. It had no eyes, navigating by sound and vibration. Its body was covered in the same shimmering, crystalline frost they'd found on the crew. It unfurled two long, barbed appendages from its maw, dripping with a paralytic venom. It wasn't just one. More creatures began to tear their way through the station's floor from other access tunnels they had carved through the ice. The hunt had begun. The rescue team was now the main course. Ava knew their weapons were useless against these things. Their only chance was the icebreaker. "Griggs, forget the doors. We need to heat the transport's engine block. Jocks, find a way to overload every power cell we have. Create a surge, a massive thermal blast." They split up. Eva and Ben created a diversion, firing flares down corridors to draw the creature's attention with light and heat. The monsters, blind but sensitive, screeched and pursued the intense energy signatures. Meanwhile, Griggs and Jocks worked frantically in the vehicle bay. The chittering was all around them now, echoing through the dark metal halls. Ben was cornered. One of the creatures lunged, its barbed appendage whipping through the air. He dodged, but a drop of the venom splattered on his arm. He felt the cold spread instantly, his muscles locking up. He felt his body stiffening, his eyes wide with terror, as the creature loomed over him, its maw opening. Just then, Eva rammed it with a small cargo loader, sending it crashing into a wall. She grabbed Ben, dragging his rapidly freezing body towards the vehicle bay. "Jocks, now," she screamed into her comms. Jocks slammed his fist on a makeshift console. "Surge is away." Every remaining power cell in the station overloaded at once. A massive wave of energy and heat blasted through the station's grid. Lights exploded, consoles sparked, and a wave of warmth washed through the frozen corridors. The creatures shrieked in agony, their crystalline bodies unable to cope with the sudden, intense heat. They recoiled, retreating back into their icy tunnels. It bought them the time they needed. The icebreaker's engine coughed to life. Griggs threw open the ramp. Ava hauled Ben inside as Jocks provided cover fire. They sealed the door just as the creatures, recovering from the thermal shock, began to swarm the vehicle. The icebreaker tore away from the dying station, its powerful treads finding purchase on the ice. In the rearview monitor, Eva could see Polaris V, a tomb of ice and silence, being reclaimed by the Arctic darkness and the horrors that lurked within. Ben was alive, but paralyzed like the others, his eyes begging for help they couldn't give. They were escaping, but they were also carrying a piece of the nightmare with them. They had no cure, limited supplies, and a long, desperate journey back to civilization. And they knew with chilling certainty that the signal from Polaris V would one day pulse again, a siren song calling the next unfortunate souls into the frozen dark, where the hunt is eternal. Thank you so much for joining me on this chilling journey into the Arctic dark. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the edge of the unknown. Let me know in the comments what you think was waiting for them on their journey home. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.